Hey gang, it's Haya. Welcome back to our weekly vlog. Today we're going to talk about scheduling our dream life. You know, over this entire 90-day blitz, we've been talking about creating a life we love. And we are, as we've talked about, staring down the barrel of a brand new decade. 2020, boom, it's here, y'all. We're looking at it already. We are 5 weeks away from a brand new decade, from a brand new era, this magical year 2020 that when we were kids we imagined we would already be in like space cars flying around, and it's already right here in front of us. So the question is, what are we gonna do about it? What are we gonna do with it? Who do we want to be in this brand new decade? Who do we want to become in this new era? So we've talked about creating our dream life. And I want to talk to you about how to take this big concept and break it down into something that is very simple, very real, and very practical. So here's the trick question for you, okay? Here's the quiz and the answer. The question is, how do you live your dream life? The answer is, you schedule it. It's just that simple. You know, we've talked before about how sad it is that most people spend more time planning their annual vacation than they spend planning their life. And we've talked about creating our dream life. We've talked about our long-term life vision. We've broken it down into 8 different lanes and looking at what are our priorities, what are our values, what inspires us and motivates us and really gets us out of bed with excitement every day. And as we look at that, we have to really have some checks and balances in place to see whether or not we're actually on pace or on a path to create that dream life. And there is a very, very easy and simple way to do that. Take a look at your schedule. Take a look at your calendar, your monthly calendar, your weekly calendar, your daily schedule. Does it reflect your long-term life vision? Does it reflect what you say are your priorities, your goals, your ambitions, your dreams? Is it in there? Again, how do you live your dream life? Very simply, you schedule it. Okay, what does that even mean? Well, I'll give you an example. When I sit down at the beginning of each new season and I look at what is going to be my ideal schedule for every week in, week out, week in, week out. I have a template for my week, as I have shown you before, and I'm happy to attach a picture of my weekly template here to this episode for you. So I make sure that with each new change of seasons, each new change in my life, and when I say season, I don't mean fall, summer, spring, winter. I mean like something is changing in your life. Okay, so if our schedule changes, if my son's extracurricular activities change, or if my work schedule changes, or if, you know, we have a major shift in our travel, etc. So I will always sit down and tweak and revise my ideal weekly plan based on those changes to reflect whatever changes are happening in our life. Okay, now I am a big fan of structure. Everyone needs structure, okay? People always say that children thrive within structure, and it's true, but guess what? We all thrive within structure. And people that are, you know, airy and artsy and free spirits, a lot of times they tend to buck at the thought of being imprisoned by a schedule. But the reality is they are living in prison of their own chaos. So when you can create structure, it actually gives you the freedom that you need, because your mind is freed up, your thoughts are freed up, and it empowers you and equips you to live your dream life, as opposed to living continuously imprisoned by your own chaos. Now here's the thing. When I look at my dream life and I look at my 8 lanes of living, and when I am putting my weekly plan, I'm putting my template in place, I make sure that the two are correlated. I make sure that there is space within my weekly plan sheet for however much of my dream life I need to tackle on a weekly basis. Now remember, I don't use the word balance because balance usually negatively implies that all things are equal, and nothing in real life is equal. I prefer the word harmony because it means that all the different areas of your life are working together and flowing together to make beautiful music. So when I'm looking at my 8 lanes, my spiritual life, my family life, my career, my personal development, community, social life, etc., those don't need to take equal chunks of time on my weekly plan sheet. And depending on where I am in life, they don't need to take equal time every week. Sometimes they're more heavily visible in my schedule, and sometimes they're just monthly touch points. So for example, when I was really working on getting my finances in order, I had a lot of time marked out on my schedule for my financial lane. Now I can just do touch points, and once a week I can just check and make sure that everything is in order. Once a month or once a quarter I might sit down and do a little bit more digging, and once a year I'll have a bigger chunk of time where I'm revising my strategy, my financial strategy. So again, depending on your goals and your priorities and where you're holding on each of these different areas, that would reflect in your weekly plan sheet. Now, there may be some things that you don't need to do every week. You only want to do them, let's say, once a month. That's okay. So how do you get this in place? Well, it's going to take multiple drafts. I'll just encourage you with that to begin with. It's not something that you just put in place overnight and everything is perfect. It's more of a live and learn. It's you lean into it, you tweak it as you go, and after several weeks of really investing in yourself, by investing in your schedule, you're gonna get into a rhythm that you really love. So I'll give you an example. My physical lane, my spiritual lane, my family lane, my career, my personal development lane, all of those are 5 of the 8 lanes, are all physically visible in my schedule on a weekly basis. Actually, so is my community lane. It is also physically visible at this stage of my life. It wasn't always the case, but it is now. My social and adventures lane is not a big priority for me right now, so it's not there on a weekly basis, but it might be for you, and that's okay. And my financial lane is not there on a weekly basis right now either. Right now I've got a little bit of a blend between my personal development and my financial lane because I'm working on taking my financial strategy to a new level, so that's kind of blending in with my personal development lane, and that's okay. And I've learned how to do that over time. But I know that based on my personal goals of how long I want to spend at the gym, how long I want to spend sleeping, how much family time I want to spend, and I literally took a piece of paper and I sketched them out. How many hours on a daily basis do I want to spend in each of these lanes? And maybe the ones that are not daily but they're weekly, how much time do I want to spend on these lanes? And it becomes like a draft of my priorities. Then I take my weekly plan sheet, and that's like my blueprint. And I do my first sketch. So this is what we're talking about. We're saying a custom built home. Your life should reflect very much the analogy of a custom built home, that you know all the things you want to go in your house. So you give all of those to the architect, and then he makes a first pass at the blueprints. You take a look, I say, oh, I want to move this here, a little bit here, a little bit there, and you tweak and you sketch and you tweak and you sketch and you move around. And that's exactly what you're doing with your dream life on paper and creating that and making it real within your schedule. Okay? And then if you get everything put together on, paper with pencil, and then you're realizing, oh, something's missing. So then you can go back and you can move it around and back and forth and move it here and there. You can do it digitally. You can do it with a piece of paper and a pencil. Either way is fine. It just depends on how your brain works and what you're accustomed to, whatever's going to make it easiest and the most productive for you. But this exercise, y'all, is what takes this pipe dream and actually brings it down and makes it a reality. Because your decade, okay, is made up of years. Your years are broken down into months. Your months are determined by how you spend your weeks. Your weeks are determined by how you design your days. And your days are built by those hour by hour choices. That's what we're talking about here, is taking that big picture and breaking it down. And then looking at the individual units. It's almost like, you want to make sure that the picture on that front of the puzzle box looks so beautiful, and then you've got to put the individual pieces together. Okay, that's what you're working to do with your own life. And I can promise you this, dream lives don't happen on accident. So if you're not going to invest this amount of time in getting your schedule the way you want it so that you can build that dream life, how the heck do you ever plan on that dream life coming to fruition? Please help me understand. How does it work? Because if you've got a way that just poof, all of a sudden it's going to magically appear one day, I would love to hear it. But what I have found is that nobody escapes the grind. We've got to put the work in if we want to see that dream life on the back end. And yes, it takes work to create a life we love. But I know that now my harmony comes through sticking to my schedule. When I follow my schedule, when I exercise discipline and living out the schedule and keeping and honoring the boundaries that I have put into place, everything works in my life. When I start to let things slip and I start to cut corners here or there, I start to let other people dictate my life and my schedule, and I stop honoring my own boundaries, then everything, it starts to become a domino effect. And within just a matter of days and weeks, I am a basket case. And I'm stressed out and I can't figure out why nothing is working. So I challenge you, I invite you, take some time this week. Look at your dream life. Look at what you want on paper. Look at your calendar and start to figure out how to blend those two. So that instead of always remaining a dream that's just out of reach, you can actually make it real and make it come to life in this new decade. And why wait until January? Why not start now? So that by the time January 1st hits, you're already rocking and rolling. You're already into a rhythm, as opposed to wait until January 2nd and then having to schlep it along with everybody else. You got this. You can do it. Let me know how it goes. Bye for now.